And sometimes being okay is all we can ask for. I hope that everyone joining us online today is out doing okay or better as well. Yes, today we're going to have a lot of really fun matches coming for us. The very first match is going to be Freaky Cats versus Root Beer, which unfortunately on the graphics is just mentioned as Root Beer, but I'm going to read out their full name because I used to be a fan of root beer. I don't drink soda anymore, but yeah, it used to be a great one. Now, Sasu, do you know much about either of these teams? Any information or enlightenment you can kind of give me on either of these sides?
Let's see. I believe Freaky Cats here um, is actually a pickup rather than an established team. So we're gonna have to see if like there's maybe they're friends already. You know, we are living in quite a pickup culture, and pickups have been seeing a lot of success. So we'll see if their synergy is just as strong as like a standard team. And you being a former fan of root beer, do you have any intel here for us on root beer?
Well, I do believe that root beer is also going to be a pickup team coming into this. So again, a fairly common thing in this scene, especially with all those discussions online as of late, running pickup teams. And sometimes in these lower levels, you know, it's easier just to make pickups and harder to find that team you mesh with. Me personally, when I won LSL many moons ago, I was running a pickup as well and was able to go through the bracket. So it's the times. But yeah, I personally do not recognize many of these players. I have recently played against two members of Root Beer in a couple of tournaments, so I have a little bit of insight on them. I know S2 Shoes being a fairly strong carbon roller player. So I'm curious to see how these players are going to be running it, but I do know that Root Beer will probably be playing a fairly aggressive comp. So Freaky Cats are going to have something to kind of fight against that aggression.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of the time, the name of the game is sort of just aggression, aggression to out aggression the other team, sort of smother them here. But we are going to be looking at Splat Zone's Barnacle. As I feel like we all kind of know, Barnacle and Dime Splat Zones can be a very difficult map mode, especially as it pertains to lockouts, and essentially also very difficult to play on for your first game of a tourney. Certainly. What are your thoughts on this map mode?
I think it's a very interesting one because you did bring up the idea that there's lockouts are very easy and they can be pretty devastating. But when you're not in a lockout in that neutral state, those two streets on the sides can be very deadly. And especially if we're going to be seeing an aggressive comp from Root Beer like I'm anticipating, they're going to be utilizing those flank routes very, very much. So we're going to have to see Freaky Cats be able to hold out and keep an eye on those sites and to make sure that they have as awareness and communication throughout their team.
Absolutely. This is also a very difficult map to sort of like get your hand on the pulse of the other team to really learn some information, I suppose, about them because you're just so focused on not getting locked out, taking over for this neutral. So we're definitely, it's going to be interesting to see them when they get into that neutral and how they're going to play this.
Now coming into this game, we have Freaky Cats in the orange, Root Beer in the blue. Immediate thing I'm noticing about these comps, I was wrong about Root Beer. They're running a double backline comp with a heavy splatling and a pencil. So maybe not as aggressive as I might have thought, but they do still have the carbon roller and they have a vanilla slosher, so they do still have some of that kill potential when they're in those fights. And Freaky Cats as well, bringing out a fairly mobile comp with that Dreadringer with those ghoulies. So interesting picks from both sides.
Absolutely. We both have this pencil online, very tantamount for a place like this, getting that ink down, and especially with this Dreadringer, often used. There's been a new conversation, I feel, about Reef Slider. Obviously, it has its issues, but we have been seeing it more so in zone. Very difficult to cap an entire zone with a Reef Slider on this particular zone. As you can see, sort of them having to move back there, and they're giving up this space, not what you want to see on your team, having the other team taking your plat essentially, which might be leading to essentially a knockout.
Yeah, a potential lockout here as we do see the crab going down. Burger getting behind it, managing to get that slosh Root Beer very few points away from getting the lead. As much as Freaky Cats had a great opening, as we've alluded to multiple times, the lockouts here can be pretty deadly. There is the lead swap, though walking into the zone, Rainmaker does cap it, so only a couple point lead difference, but now you have to find a lockout of your own if you're Freaky Cats.
Yeah, absolutely. We see both teams sort of in a neutral state here, sort of fighting for the zone. With quite a few penalty points as well. So it's going to be difficult for them to do that push, get forward, and take that plat, especially with that pencil sort of guarding that there on the side of Root Beer.
Yeah, those pencil players can be hard to push out sometimes. Both teams do have one, so it can create a bit of a stalemate as we've seen here. Both teams have been in the mid for the last while now, no lockouts on either side. This pencil player here on the side of Root Beer getting pushed out. Amberler going down to the slider. Only one member left alive on Root Beer. Chater having to run away and does have to jump out. Freaky Cat setting up for a lockout, counting down on that penalty, about to take a lead. There's still half of the match remaining, so there's still a lot of time for Root Beer to break in. The Freaky Cats are looking to maybe KO here.
Yeah, honestly, I'd argue maybe not that much time. When you're pushed into your own base on Barnacle and Dime, not only does it take a while to sort of get there into mid time-wise, but all the fights that you're going to have to take, it's just not looking good for Root Beer time-wise. Even though they're moving in here, maybe they're poised to take it back, up 3-1.
And with that, Freaky Cats do indeed KO. We saw Shoes run in through a strike to get a double trade, but unfortunately it wasn't enough to help their team flip over the cap and get the penalty. So Freaky Cats do KO and take game 1 over Root Beer.
Yeah, and it was kind of, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Root Beer at the beginning there was able to sort of lead to an almost knockout on Freaky Cats, and Freaky Cats I think was able to kind of switch it around and then have them stuck in their own base for a while. And as we kind of commented before, just the amount of time and the amount of fights you have to take in order to get back to your own plat and eventually to the zone takes too much time. And quite frankly, it's not just the other team you're fighting against, it's the clock.
Yeah, very well said. You are fighting against the clock, especially in those modes where those lockouts are so prominent. As we saw, again, Freaky Cats locked out Root Beer, then Root Beer locked out Freaky Cats, and then there was a large stalemate for a good minute or two, and then Freaky Cats ultimately was able to get yet another lockout and just keep out Root Beer until that clock went down. They were so close to getting it. They had that neutral for a bit, but they couldn't get the cap, and that's the important thing. The penalty is so important in splat zones, and when they're unable to get that, that's it. That's the game. Now, moving on from splat zones, next we have Robo, ROM-en, Rainmaker, a very, very different game than what we're going to see from game 1.
Yes, I have to wonder what sort of shifts we're going to see here in the comps that we had. Obviously, Dreadringer, very popular for zones due to that Reef Slider. Maybe not as popular in a Rainmaker scenario, and especially with that double backline. I wonder if that's really going to serve them on a mode like Rainmaker. We'll see if they make any changes.
We see, I believe, the same comp coming out from Freaky Cats. They have switched to the vanilla splatter shot rather than the T-Tech. And yes, the exact same comp coming in from Root Beer. They are bringing out that double backline comp. So even though it may not have served them well in game 1, they're hoping it'll get them some new strides in game 2.
Yes, that's definitely going to be very difficult here, having this this heavy and this double backline here, especially when you're on this push. But we'll see if it does serve them. And we do see Freaky Cats already getting this wipeout straight out of the gate and getting an easy check. I have to imagine this is not what you want to see with Root Beer.
Yeah, Root Beer do not want to get pushed back this early. Freaky Cats already running in 30 points already in 40 seconds, still holding the Rainmaker. Both of the frontliners on Root Beer are down. A clear shot, though they do go down to a burst bomb flying through. Shoes running through, picking off multiple members of Freaky Cats, trying to push them all the way out and give their team some room to breathe. Only a minute in, a push down to 17. It's fairly devastating, but it's not over yet. Root Beer have a lot of time and hopefully a lot of space to be able to get back in here.
Yeah, I will say Root Beer struggling a bit sort of with their mobility, generally speaking, but they are able to get that check little by little, sort of taking back the ground they lost. But I'm seeing they're sort of being pushed back into mid here. Freaky Cats with a bubble up, claiming that space, definitely not letting them walk in and continuing this push.
And while they're only at 70 points, getting that checkpoint is huge. If Root Beer can get one wipeout on Freaky Cats, that could be the game right there. Rainmaker can be a fairly volatile game once those checkpoints are down. We see the Crab getting the kill onto Amber Alert, able to push up it. 3 members of Root Beer down. It's just up to Shoes and the Carbon Roller. They have the Zuka out to buy some space, but they are getting pushed back. The rest of their team has respawned. Freaky Cats now, they want to start staggering the roster of Root Beer, try to push them out, and just get in an awkward spot, and that is the awkward spot they were looking for, running through. The KO doesn't come through!
Bears, unfortunately for them, not able to sort of seal the deal and get that check going down to 1, meaning now Root Beer essentially has to completely win the game in order to secure that W, getting it down onto the podium. But definitely very frustrating if you're Freaky Cats to get that down to the 1, get down to the podium, and to die at the last second there.
It may be frustrating for Freaky Cats, but I'm sure it's even more frustrating for Root Beer, as now they have to get a guaranteed KO if they want a chance at winning this set. 2 members going down to the Try-Zuka from the side of Freaky Cats. Now, they're a bit of a scramble because they need to make a plan here. They need to figure out, how do they get a KO? How do they need to find some picks, they need to find some space, and they need to find map control.
We do see that there are, or maybe they went, yes, they went down. There were strikes online, but unfortunately their V bucket goes down. But with this Zuka online, you see Freaky Cats trying to take that space, make that push, keep control. Though I imagine with 1 minute and 30 seconds left, and knowing that the other team essentially has to KO if they're going to get that win, Freaky Cats is in defense mode here, trying to stall for sure.
Yeah, stalling is the name of the game. They just have to wait around, get some picks, and not let Root Beer take any steps forward, which is not a huge task. So it is up to Root Beer to try to find those solutions to get around. They may need a little bit more paint. This map is looking fairly orange. Even when Root Beer is taking over the middle of the map, there's a lot of avenues for Freaky Cats to work with. And getting those specials out, the Crab and the Zuka combo. Blaster coming through, getting multiple picks. Yet another wipeout for Freaky Cats. It's not looking great for Root Beer here, Sasu.
Yeah, especially not with 41 seconds down, knowing they need this knockout. And 3 of them going down, their pencil only being the person up, and they're able to go down 2, getting a delayed wipe. It's looking like Freaky Cats trying to hold on to that Rainmaker stall. They're not going for the knockout, staying nice and careful. That we do have a flanking sort of Carbon that goes down here. 15 seconds left, not looking great for Root Beer.
The flank from the Carbon was a hopeful effort, but in vain, as Freaky Cats have too much space, too much room to breathe, and just a great position in this match, letting that time stall out, getting the 2-0 over Root Beer. Root Beer, a valiant effort, but just couldn't find a solution to what Freaky Cats brought to the table.
Yeah, especially after having, I believe, them going down to 17 so quickly. A really valiant effort fighting back there from Root Beer, able to still get in that that check, I believe. But I think Freaky Cats really showed their aggression, like we were talking about before. The name of the game really is aggression, and when you're able to sort of smother the other team, especially with Root Beer having this double backline and maybe these 2 weapons that aren't the strongest at defending themselves on one team, it can definitely be sort of tough to match that aggression.
Yeah, and there was a lot of glimmers of hope for Root Beer. Again, I believe Shoes on that Carbon getting the Burst Bomb combo onto the Rainmaker at 1 point remaining before the KO, giving them a possibility to make a comeback. But again, Freaky Cats, I believe, getting 3 or 4 wipeouts throughout the duration of that game. But this set is already won by Freaky Cats because they're up 2-0, but it is a play all 3. So we're going to be seeing a third match between them. So Root Beer still have a chance to kind of prove themselves and show that it's not a total wipe. Like, they still are able to beat Freaky Cats at their own game. Going into Clam Blitz on Scorch Gorge, yet another map and mode that is very different from the first 2 that we've already seen so far this set.
Yes, they are going to have to be contending with this sort of choke point where definitely a lot of the fighting is going to happen trying to get up to these baskets. And especially with, I'm assuming we're going to be seeing 2 pencils on either team. Just getting that approach up to basket without getting sniped straight out of your pants, going to be difficult for both of these teams. And I have to wonder if Freaky Cats is a bit at an advantage here with their fighting power, with all those fights that are going to happen at those choke points on the ramps.
I am curious to see if Root Beer are going to make any comp adjustments. Again, Freaky Cats actually switching for the Tetra Dualies this time. And Root Beer does actually bring out the Headit instead of the Heavy. So they switch for a bit more of an aggressive Splatling, bringing them the Crab as well as a special. So I kind of like some of these adjustments in both these teams. They're really interesting dynamics in the front of.
Yes, I have to say, I myself as a Heavy Edit player, I do love Heavy Edit here. Really good for kill power and kill time. Really good for getting an efficient, but that also means they are going double cooler, if I'm not mistaken. Is that the Edit Nouveau?
That's the Edit Nouveau, yes. They do have
it's the Edit Nouveau, so they have a Crab online. And this bubble, no, that's a Carbon, I'm sorry. My eyes may be a bit broken here, but definitely a lot more aggression than we were seeing before, and I'm thinking that's going to help them with taking these fights.
Yeah, and both sides do have a Reef Slider, which has been a very popular pick on Clam Blitz Scorch Gorge as of late. I've been seeing it every single time I play or commentate this map and mode. 3 members of Root Beer down, so Freaky Cats don't even need the Reef Slider to walk in. There comes the bubble. It is under the basket, ready to let their teammates walk in and start scoring, but here's the entire roster of Root Beer running back in to try to prevent it. Clam's getting past. There is the Power Clam, but Root Beer is here to push them out.
Yeah, I'm hoping they're able to get in these subsequent clams here, and they are getting it down to 77. Never really want to get a power clam in there with no follow-up, giving the other team essentially a free pity clam. Chipping slowly down to 68 from Freaky Cats, down to 65 now, as now they're starting to get picked off by Root Beer and ushered out of this choke, leaving their push down to 65, a respectable number.
A good job for Freaky Cats knowing to not overcommit to that push. We saw Gullert on the pencil all the way back in the middle the entire time. And then as soon as they were 2 down, the T-Tech ran back to make sure that their team didn't get wiped out. Make sure they have those resources to anchor and to stay alive and not let Root Beer get free map control after pushing them to their own base. Here comes the Slider, getting a couple picks. Few members down on both sides, but Freaky Cats still in control of this map. The Soda getting thrown a little bit aggressively, a little bit far. Burger able to grab it, but not able to get a lot of value out of it here. Maybe going down after getting picked off by 2. And now, once again, a familiar sight. It's just the pencil on the side of Root Beer alive.
Yeah, and I think they're able to get in those 2 power clams. Another thing we should mention, clam economy. Currently, there are no clams online for Root Beer, and I think they've been generally struggling to get their hands on clams or even form power clams the entire time. Their basket closing, unfortunately, nobody picking up that pity clam, I believe, from that last push, meaning they do not get 2 power clams online here. But as you can see, Freaky Cats owning a lot of the clan economy right now, which also makes it difficult for Root Beer to then grab those clams and make a push of their own.
And it can be fairly hard to get that clam economy when you don't have any space on the map. We're looking at a very orange Scorch Gorge here as Root Beer doesn't have a lot of space. They do have 2 members up on top of the map now. They're starting to paint out a bit, and they have gotten a fair number of clams along with that. We've seen more clams spawning on the right side, 2 pods of 3 right there, but they need to start getting some more picks and not get picked off on their own. 2 members down on each side. Freaky Cat's walking forward even though it's a 2v2, but the sneak play behind, actually no, sorry, the map was flipped. It looked like it was a sneak play, but they were retreating. Freaky Cat's though still in control here.
Yeah, a very good jump out though, staying safe here. As we know when it comes to Scorch Gorge, when you're making a push and you get wiped, it's extremely easy for the other team to just get a bunch of clams and get to your basket by the time that you respawn. So jumping out, definitely really good here. But you see Root Beer slowly making their way back into mid, trying to take this map control. It kind of has been the name of the game for this set for Freaky Cats to kind of paint the entire place orange and have this map control. But we do see Root Beer getting 3 down on Freaky Cats, and now they're able to finally maybe make this push successful.
Both only 5, make that 6, 7, and oh, there's enough power clams for the power clam. They do get it in, but do go down. So they've started the ability to start throwing clams in, but with no follow-up, they're not going to get a lot of value here, and all they've done is give Freaky Cats a couple of free picks, a free power clam, and potentially some map control here as they're walking out of their base, getting one with a bomb throw. This isn't looking good for Root Beer. There's only 1 member left alive.
And that one, yeah, a delayed wipe right as we close out the game and the set. Another W for Freaky Cats.
If Freaky Cats take this set 3-0 over Root Beer, valiant efforts from Root Beer trying to get a lot of stuff working, but that last match, it was a rough one for them for sure. Freaky Cats just able to continually apply that pressure, be aggressive, hold that map control, and just not give Root Beer any avenues for success.
Yeah, once again, it's aggression. Not just aggression, but map control. All 3 of those games, we saw Freaky Cats kind of paint the entire map in their orange. Definitely had all of their picks and were able to keep the clan economy, keep their hands on the Rainmaker, get those wipes, and close out the set just as they started it, really.
Yeah, no, they were very enjoyable matches to watch for sure. And this is one of those things where we are still in the group stage. So we are currently at the point where we are sorting out the teams into their brackets for later in the tournament. So we're going to see a lot of these matches that may go 3-0, that may have that disparity in the cohesion of the teams. And as we go along, we're going to get these teams into their brackets and see a lot of close games as we go further and further into the day. Now that is all for our first set. I do believe we're going to go to a very, very, very short intermission as we get ready for our second match. But we will be back very, very soon with some more Little Squid League.
See you soon.